Guys, I'm so excited to record this because I'm triggered. I love sharing moments when I'm triggered with you because those are the moments where it's like I'm getting just super real. The masks come off, and here we are being real with each other. Yesterday, I started working with my protector parts, as we call it in internal family systems. There's a part of my psyche who is like a bouncer at a club. He's a fighter. He's hardcore. He's really aggressive and kind of angry. And whenever he smells danger, and he tends to smell danger all the time, but whenever he smells danger, emotional danger, although he would argue with me on that point, whenever he smells danger, he wants to rise up and take over my body to protect me. And who is he protecting exactly? What part of me is he protecting? Today I looked deep inside. Well, I asked him, who are you protecting? And I saw deep down in my belly a extremely tender, sensitive part of my psyche. You could call it like an inner child part. Very young and not just defenseless, but utterly defenseless. This part of me has zero defense mechanism. It does not have any ability to modulate its environment. Whatever's happening in the environment directly impacts this part of me without any filter, except for this protector that steps in front and, picks up its fists and says, let's rumble. You want to fight? I'm going to fight. I'm going to reject you before you have a chance to reject me and hurt this little tender part of my psyche inside. So I was talking to my protector today, inquiring into his reality, asking him what's going on, giving him empathy, saying, man, I can understand why you feel the way you do, and I'm not trying to change you. I just want you to know that I'm here. I'm here with you. And I'm here with this tender little part that you are protecting. But at some point, I realized that my protector was not just angry and scared of this woman in my life that I've fallen in love with. He was angry at me. And when I asked him why was he angry at me, the answer he gave me was really shocking, and it had a big impact on me. And his answer was, you, Ellis, downplay the importance of emotions. You have said so many times, and you have this attitude that our personal human emotions are ultimately unreal and unimportant, because that's your spiritual understanding. And when you do that, you insult us. You insult me, the protector of your system. You insult parts of us. You show us that you don't really care. I'm fleshing out what he said. He didn't say all of these exact words. This is the message he gave me, and I'm adding to it to make it more clear for you. But he was saying basically, you act like because spirituality is above the level of emotions, that the emotions that we feel don't matter and are unimportant. And that makes us feel super unsafe. That makes us feel like you do not have our back. And he was showing me that the emotions on my personal level, my personality level, are important. He said they do have real world consequences. He pointed out areas of my life where I hold back because I'm scared of failing, scared of being seen by the public, scared of messing up. He pointed out the ways that I numb out and withdraw and disconnect from my life instead of going for it with enthusiasm and joy and courage. And he said, you see, that's what happens when we get wounded and you don't attend to the wounds, when you ignore the emotional wounds, Ellis, he's telling me, this is what happens in your real life here on earth. Real things happening on this level. When you disrespect us, when you ignore us, when you treat us like we don't matter, your life suffers in real ways. It's not just emotions. It's real ways. And I was really kind of stunned by this because I could see my long history of doing exactly what he says. In fact, I just said it to my girlfriend the other day. I quoted a Byron Katie quote and said, "The worst thing that can happen is just a feeling." You know, there's truth to this, but there's also a disrespect of the levels. You know what I've seen when I've been around highly realized gurus and saints and sages? I've been lucky to meet a few of them. What I've always noticed is when I'm around a being like that who's extremely highly realized, who has this understanding of the highest levels of reality, they don't bypass the physical dimension. Whenever I go see my spiritual teacher in Southern California, first thing he asks me is, "How are your ankles?" He knows that I shattered my ankles many years ago and had a lot of pain and difficulty functioning. First thing he asks is not, how's your spiritual life going right now? How's your meditation? What is the highest levels of reality that you're tapping into these days? No, he says, "Are you hungry? Have you had lunch? How are your ankles? How are your kids?" He shows respect first for the human level. The first spiritual lineage that I was connected to with my first spiritual teacher as a teenager, there was a saying there in the ashram: first the stomach and then God. First, when someone comes to the ashram, you make sure they're fed, and then you meditate. You take care of the physical dimension, and then you take care of the spiritual dimension. You don't bypass the physical and ignore it and treat it like it doesn't matter. Even if you have a higher understanding that this whole world is an illusion, the whole universe is an illusion, you still show respect to each level of reality, wherever you're interacting. And so when my protector part told me this morning, I was humbled and I agreed with him. And I told him that I was going to work to change the way I've been treating him and treating my system. And I wasn't going to try to annihilate my ego. I've already reached that decision several months ago. I realized I'm freaking my own psyche out when I, for years and years, will say that I'm trying to kill off my ego, trying to annihilate my ego. My ego is listening. My internal family was listening, and they knew I was talking about all of them. And it freaked them out. It broke trust. And that's the false teaching I learned in the ashram. And it wasn't an official teaching. So I'm not blaming anyone in the ashram for this. No one came up to me and said, "Hey, disregard your needs as a person. They're not important." My guru at the time never said that. No one else said that. But in the path of yoga, that teaching, that understanding kind of suffuses yoga. And in many spiritual traditions, it's not just yoga. There is often this bias against, this disregard for our human personal level. I picked that up in the ashram. I fell in love with a girl in the ashram and was immediately told by a manager and by a monk to let her go, to disregard her, to kind of brush her aside and to focus on my spiritual path. And I tried so hard to do that. The problem was, as I was disregarding her, I was disregarding my own system. I was disregarding parts of me. I was learning to ignore these parts of me. instead of working with them, connecting to them, witnessing them, loving them, I was making them unimportant. I was denying them. As if a child had walked into the ashram and we told it to get lost, get out of here, go live on the street. We're not going to take care of you. The ashram never treated anyone like that. And yet I learned there to treat parts of my own system like that, childlike parts of my system. So that's why I wanted to make this video. This is a big realization for me. And I know there's millions of others out there who have imbibed this unofficial teaching also, to disregard who you really are inside. And when we do that, we're kind of traumatizing our system even more. We're fracturing even more, instead of unifying our system, becoming one with our system, and being a wise guru and teacher and saint and sage to our system. We split apart and deny it. And then we wonder why, decades later, we still have fears. So I welcome my protectors, and I welcome the parts that they're protecting. And I make an oath to them. I will not abandon you. I will not downplay or dismiss your importance anymore. I promise.